Hello everyone, my name is Natalia Lauk, and today I'm going to answer a question which one of my youngest students, her name is Yolanda, asked. She was very curious about cadences and why do we need them, why they built this way, and what are they? So I'm hoping to answer this question in this video. So first of all, to answer a question, why do we need cadences, let me take out a cadence from one of the melodies. So I'm going to play the melody and I'm not going to play the cadence. You feel you were robbed of ending. You didn't arrive home because I didn't play the end of this melody. So to answer the question, what are the cadences? It's basically the end of the musical phrase, something that let the phrase sounds complete, right? Here we come, right? Otherwise, without that, we feel like the phrase isn't completed, like stop in the middle, right? It was cut off the ending. So that's what the cadence is. So whenever you, now let's answer the question why the cadences are built this way, right? And in order to do that, I'm going to remind you that first when you see the cadence, let's say in your technique or something else, you see something weird like 1 to 5 in Roman numerals, right? Or 5 to 1, or 4 to 1, right? So what does it all mean, right? What, how should I understand any of that? Well, this is actually quite simple once you understand that, right? So let us write the C major scale. Well, what do you know about C major scale? It starts with C, C, D, E, F, G, right? And it goes in alphabetical order, right? Like this. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you start again with C, right? So that's the complete C major scale. Well, what is the first step of the scale? Your home note is this one, C, right? And in Roman numerals, instead of writing just regular 1, we're going to write this kind of 1. So that's your 1 in this case, right? So what is your fourth step? 1, 2, 3, 4. F in this case is your fourth step. So you're going to write 4 here. What is your fifth step? G is your fifth step, right? So you're going to write 5 right here. And we're going to use Roman numerals because that's what musicians do. Okay. Now you know that's your first step, that's your fourth step, and that's your fifth step, okay? And remember, cadence lets you feel that the phrase is finished, is complete, right? Otherwise it's incomplete. So that means if melody starts by the end of the phrase, we're using some of the notes that included in those first, fifth, fourth, or fifth step, right? And how do we know it's included there, right? So if you build a chord using each of those steps, you will get a triad, so we call primary triads, okay? So let's build a chord based on C. It's C, E, and G, right? If you build a chord based on F, it's going to be F, A, and C. If you're going to build chord on G, it's going to be G, B, and D. And if you want to make this chord more interesting and more tense, because between first step and fifth step there's the most tension, you're going to add one more note on top of that, and it's going to be what? It's going to be F. Okay? And instead of just G, B, D, you're going to get G, B, D, and that's what we called fifth, seventh chord. So let me erase that. And we're going to write fifth, seventh chord. Why it's a seventh? Because between G and F, there's a distance of 7, or interval of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's what we hear. Okay, so now let me play the Twinkle Twinkle Star again. Have here C, C, G, D, A, and then we return to G, right? So when we play the chords for this melody, let's say for the first note, which is C, we're going to use this chord, C, E, and G, because it's kind of included this, right? Right? And the next chord is A. So let's see, what of those chords have A in it? Well, this one, the F chord of chord 4th step, okay? So to use a chord for this note, because little is A, right? We're going to use in the left hand this chord, the chord of 4th step, okay? Chord of 4th, so this is chord of 1st step, this is chord of 4th step, and this is chord of 5th step, okay? So let me play it again. So chord of 1st step, twinkle, twinkle. Now we have A coming, and we're going to use this chord because it has A in it. And then we're going to go back to G, right? And we're going to use again this chord because that's what we have. Right? So, and if you listen to this, and if you stay a little, this sentence, this phrase, feels incomplete, feels like you didn't arrive home. So you need to play star, right? Star, right? And what happened? You went from chord for 1st step to chord of 4th step, and because you want to return home to the first one, you coming back to the first. So twinkle, twinkle, little star. On the word star or the note G, you return back to the first chord. So that's how the cadences work, and that's how they're built. Okay, now let's try to use this chord, the chord of 5th step. Well, for this one, we're just going to keep going. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. And the next chord, note is F, which is included in this chord. So we're going to use the chord 4th chord again, chord of 4th. So wonder is E, so we're going to use this chord because that's what is in this chord. And the next note is D. So this one, where the D is not in this one, not in this one, but in this one. So we can use this chord, right? Where you, and the word R is C, right? So when we hear where you are, we're going from chord of 5th step to 1. So hopefully that explains a little bit how the cadences are built and why are they this way. So now I'm going to quickly talk about the type of the cadences. So first phrase, when we were singing twinkle, twinkle, little star, we went from chord of 1st step to the 4th step and back, right? And that's what we call plagal cadence. Twinkle, twinkle, little star. Plagal cadence going from 4 to 1 doesn't have such a big sense of arrival home, so the phrase is still can keep going, right? You kind of finished, but not entirely. Just listen. Right? Like you can stop there, but there's a still energy, so to keep going, right? That's why you. And the finally, where here, where you are from 5/7 to 1, from 5 to 1, and 5 to 1, we call it authentic cadence. That gives you the strong sense of arrival home. Where you are, right? Just imagine. And let's say if you just stop on where and would never go to R, just never finish the phrase. How I wonder where you. That's what we call half cadence because you just stop at 5 and you don't go. And half cadence, that's why it's called half, because it doesn't give you the sense of completion. Just it feels unfinished. And now one more cadence that we called deceptive cadence. Listen how it sounds. Twinkle, twinkle, little star, I wonder where you are. We actually arrived in the chord of 6th step in A minor in this case. So that's why it feels interrupted and kind of unfinished. So let me play it in something else, like. So if you do that, what the end of the happy birthday to you that's going to feel unfinished. So that's why we call that deceptive cadence. But that's one more cadence that you actually need to know what, but not right now. So this one is usually coming later in theory. So for right now, you only need to know half authentic and plagal cadence. So let's repeat one more time. So authentic cadence is 5-1. That gives you strong sense of arrival. Plagal cadence is 4-1. Gives you sense of arrival, but not that strong. And half cadence, when you actually stop on 5 and you don't go to 1, and it feels kind of interrupted and incomplete. So I hope that answers your question, at least basics question about cadences.